Number 3, compatibility matters. Listen, I don't care how many times I have to tell you. It's not enough to be like, oh, he loved God. If he is not compatible with you and the call on your life and the things that you are set to accomplish in your life, the things that you want to experience, if there's an incompatibility, you are going to have problems. I'm letting you know this from experience. I'm sure many times we've heard, how can two walk together lest they agree? In a very plain way. If I'm going this way and you're going this way and we holding hands, somebody gonna have to let go because we're not going in the same direction. It's very simple. You have to be compatible. You have to have compatible walks, compatible destinations. Do we complement each other? Because otherwise it's just not going to work. In my case, I was explicitly honest about my desires and the things that I wanted in my life in premarital counseling. Also, I highly recommend premarital counseling. You're probably thinking like, okay, well, you got divorced, so premarital counseling obviously didn't work. No, I would not say that. At the very least, what premarital counseling provided for me in this stage of my life is peace of mind in knowing that I crossed all my T's and I dotted all my I's before I walked down that aisle. I did what I was supposed to do. So I know I wasn't just being reckless. I made a very calculated move. So I was explicitly honest about what I wanted, what my expectations were, what my desires were. Unfortunately, my ex-husband was not honest. He smuggled in, as my premarital counselors would say, smuggled in some expectations. And so he told me one thing, he expected another after our marriage started, unfortunately. So he was dishonest and he had another type of life for us in mind. I wanted to have a partner. I wanted a career. I wanted a family. Like, I wanted all the things because I can have all the things. I'm capable and I have the capacity for it. I saw it modeled in my life. My parents have been married for over 54 years. They have owned a business for over 45 years. They have 4 children. Like, the things can happen. It was modeled in front of me. That's what I wanted. It later became very clear to me that my ex-husband wanted a housewife whose primary focus was to cater to him and our future children. That became very clear after the wedding day, right? So wedding day, oh my gosh, I love you. Everything is great. We're excited. And then in the coming weeks, there was a big demand placed on what was needed from me. Cook my meals, bring my plate, do my laundry, be hot and ready for me like a Little Caesars pizza. I don't care how tired you are after you get off your 8-hour shift and then come home and clean up everything. And you know, it was like, all right, I thought we were partners, but we're not partners, right? Now, there's nothing wrong with a man wanting a housewife, and there's nothing wrong with a woman wanting to be a housewife. The problem lies in the fact that we were incompatible because that's not the life that I expressed that I wanted. It's not the life that I actually wanted. And it's the life that he wanted. And now we're going in separate directions. He was dishonest about it in the beginning, basically, because we agreed before we got married that we wanted the same things, which is partnership. But after we got married, his role as the husband was like, well, this is what we're gonna do. And it created a lot of tension for us. So all the values that I thought we had in common ended up being the very things outlined in an ultimatum that I ended up receiving a week before I left. Give up your career and focus on me or it's over. I'm sure you're probably thinking, well, being a housewife and having him pay all the bills, like, that's the life. Like, what are you worried about? Like, what are you complaining for? You're being ungrateful. Yeah. Listen, there's nothing wrong with being a housewife if that's what you want. But if it goes against everything that you already explicitly laid out for your life and what it is that you want in partnership, in marriage, and if it consists only of cooking, cleaning, and catering to what he wants and what he needs, and then being able to like do what you want with your life as far as a career or, you know, whatever your little hobbies are on the weekends, then it can create a problem. And that's the case for me. It created a problem because I wasn't allowed to be myself. After years of contributing a significant amount to the financial stability of the home, I thought it only fair that I get a chance to go after my career and to do the things that I wanted to do with my life when we were in a more stable place. But 'twas not the case. And so I made a choice to do what I needed to do for me and for the life that God put in me to live. Number 4, you must have solid accountability. Accountability is so incredibly important in marriage. It's important in life, but let me tell you something. There truly is safety in a multitude of wise counsel, okay? I was adamant about having wise counsel before, during, and even especially after the marriage. But it was routinely a struggle to get my former spouse to commit to going to therapy and actually participating in therapy in a very vulnerable way. He didn't like going to counseling because the counselors often challenged his point of view. Because he had no one that he trusted to check him, he allowed his position as head of the house to go to his head. He lorded his authority over me rather than embracing the command to submit one to another and to love your wife as Christ loved the church. It put me in a his word against mine type of environment that left me often painted as a rebellious wife. I had no real voice or real advocate in my marriage. Any opinion that I held that didn't line up with his was to be buried because I was the woman and he was the man. And his opinion as the leader in the relationship was to be our united front, right or wrong. That included any content that I put out as a content creator. So if he didn't agree with what I said, I needed to not say anything. Or not just not say anything, I needed to say what he would say because he was the man in the relationship. Also, I want to caution you to beware of counselors who tell you to compromise what God has said and backed up in scripture. So you have to always consider the source and check the source, right? And I don't care whether you're married or not, whether you aspire to be married or not. If someone is counseling you and you are a Christian and you believe in scripture, so on and so forth, for yourself, like I said in point number 2, I believe, make sure that you get an understanding of scripture for yourself. So take that, whatever was said, back and see if it lines up. Because sometimes, we're human. We make mistakes. A lot of times, I won't say a lot of times, sometimes people can project their own mess onto yours. And I unfortunately had a couple experiences where people were telling me what they would do and not what they felt like God was leading them to tell me from my particular situation. And if I had listened to their counsel at the time, I probably wouldn't be here if I had to be really honest, because of the space that I was in my marriage. Toward the end, things got really dark and I was very depressed and I was suicidal. We will talk more about that in later points. But if I had stayed in a situation and succumb to the things that were being demanded of me, I probably would not be here. And so always make sure that counsel is lining up again with what is supposed to be your number one source as a Christian, which is going back to God and making sure this makes sense. Number 5, I know that this is probably going to ruffle a couple feathers, but respectfully, I don't care. Attraction is valuable to both men and women. I'm gonna run that back one more time. Attraction is valuable to both men and women, okay? We both have eyeballs. See, I got 2 of them. I checked before I started this video. Religious culture had me believing for a long time that I was somehow not allowed to desire attraction simply because I'm a woman. And all I needed was physical and financial safety. Not so much. So not only did I compromise on the things that I find physically attractive, but I also received feedback during my marriage that I was no longer desirable. So you had 2 people in a marriage who were dissatisfied with the attraction levels, right? And it wasn't just looks. I received feedback that it was my lack of confidence and personal style. And I can admit that my confidence was very shaky for several reasons. Growing up, I was the bullied. I got bullied. I had low self-esteem. I had a poor self-image. And my personal style, it went through some changes, y'all. I'm sure you've noticed the glow up that came along with the confidence, that came along with the freedom. But I used to dress like a little bag lady. I know. I understand that. It was a part of my journey. It's okay. It's beneath me now. I'm above it now. So yes, it was my lack of confidence and lack of personal style. It was his messiness and his lack of personal grooming. God gave us 5 senses. So of course you're not going to be around a person who offends most of those senses. I don't care how much they love Jesus. If you are not, feeling things positive things, having positive experience with most of those senses, you can love Jesus all you want and still be like, nah, I'm good. Choosing someone solely based on being a nice person is not enough. Unattractive people cheat too, y'all. I'm just saying.